Welcome to the Doghouse. Have a listen as we take a look at life, love, and art in all its forms. Here's your host, the Rock Dog, Andrew Davis.
Here's the rest of the interview with Elaine Campbell. We pick up right where we left off.
He said, when I was walking down the street in Rupert, he said, a man made a beeline for me, came straight over to me, stretched his arms out to my arms, and he looked straight at me and he said, "You are an angel," and he walked away. He said, "Isn't that weird?" And I'm sitting there, but well, I said, "I don't think that's weird. I think that's beautiful for someone to see you as an angel." Because I knew he had done a lot of good, like, in his life, and he wanted to do good, and he was a kind soul. So we left it alone. We never touched on that subject again. We were traveling some more and everything, and, whatever, having something to eat. And then it's sort of quiet again, and he says, "You're a good woman, Elaine." And I was like, oh, it's like, he doesn't normally talk like that, make just statements like, what is this? I knew it was weird. Like, that's just not the normal Fred. Anyway, I said, well, thank you very much. I don't know what else I could say. And I felt it was strange. Something was not right. Anyway, so we eventually make it up to Otard Bay. We get anchored, and Elaine goes out automatically because he went to the hill that I liked where there's frickin' red snapper there that I've tried to get I don't know how many times. Sucker, I'm sure it's a red snapper. It's big. I would catch, get a little rock cod there as a nice hill. But getting away. I was so mad to break the line and all kinds of things. So I said, "Are we over the hill?" And he said, "Yeah, we are. It's good. You can go out and fish." So it was still light enough out where I could, thank God I could do some fishing. Well, I'm out on the back there. He's in the cabin. And I kept getting white bass. The cats won't even eat white bass. And I'm having to yard them. You've got these plier things, and I don't want to hurt the fish, and one's got a hook through its eye, and I'm getting pissed off, because I want to get at least a rock cod. But I'm getting these white cod fish that we don't eat. And so the F words started coming out. Fighting with these fish, trying to get the thing off, because they were biting. Fuck, So just as my back's turned, and I'm in the stern, and I'm going to make a cast, I wish you would not curse, Elaine. I know it's Fred, but that's not normal Fred. That is not the way Fred normally... Fred cursed, for Pete's sake. What's he... I wish... It wasn't anger. No anger. It was, I wish you would not curse Elaine. And I was just... I waited for a bit. Enough that he went back in the cabin, and then I did my cast down. What the hell's going on here? What is this? Like, and I didn't want to go on the boat and say, what's going on? Like, you're sounding weird, your voice seems to be changing, I don't know what, you're putting things in the... Anyway, we go to bed, and the next day we wake up to brilliant sunlight. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shiny day. And the water was beautiful, perfect conditions for taking the skiff, because we had to travel 5 miles to get to Thailand. So we're having our coffee, not even realizing it's our last coffee. These are things that you need to remember with people you love. Always remember it could be the last time. I mean, you don't want to be morbid, but just try to remember it could be the last time. Our time is precious. And so we're having our coffee, just taking it for granted like we would every day. And we're both anticipating the trip over to Taiwan. And so we start layering up, getting dressed, and Fred usually did the packing, the oranges, and we'd make a thermos of tea. Got it all together. The cats were milling around. They'd been fed, of course. Fred always made sure they had some beautiful fish to eat, something. They were the first to eat when he stepped out of bed. So we're ready to go. The cats are milling around outside. They usually saw us off. And away we went for this wonderful adventure. And, in the skiff, you're not like in a speedboat. You're not traveling super, we're just chugging along. But this time, it's different. Again, there was I spotted an eagle. Well, normally if we spotted an eagle, we're going to go chug over quietly as we can, but to check it out more. Look at that and stop and look at things. We always did that. This time it's like we're heading straight on this course, and nothing's going to deter us. Like we're going straight to Taiwan Beach. Another thing he said was that he wanted to go when the tide was going in, which is totally off the wall. Totally not, Fred, because we always went when the tide was coming out, because we were beachcombers. And that didn't make sense to me either. I didn't argue it. I said, okay, fine. And I had the freaking flare gun. I had a 3/4 length leather jacket on, and it had these big squared off pockets, and the flare gun was in there, and my cigarettes were in there, and my lighter, and that's what was important to me. And so off we go. See you later, Ozzy and Ziggy. So then, chugging along, and there was just one point that gave me the creeps, which normally wouldn't give me the creeps, but we were passing by some outcrop of rocks, and the waves were hitting them around us, like we're passing, and there was all this foam, like soap. A lot of foam, and a lot of, these rocks were taking a beating, and it just was showing how strong the ocean can be, and how relentless it is. So, I don't know, something gave me the creeps just seeing it, and I'd seen that so many times different. Anyway, then Taiwan came within sight. Yay, we're almost there. And we're chugging along, and there were great big huge, like as if macrame kelp beds. Miniature islands bobbing around on top of the ocean. All of us were dodging, going around. And we're getting somewhat closer, and then Fred, all of a sudden I hear Fred say, "Shit, hang on." When I just went, and I'm sitting in the middle of the boat, he's behind me at the motor, and I just went to turn, and that was game over. Like, next thing I'm in the water. And I surface, Fred surfaces. The skiff is upside down. And we're hanging on to what we can of the skiff. And I'm bitching right away, saying, we need to have rope on the bottom of this skiff crisscrossing underneath so that if anything like this ever happens again, we've got something to hang on to. Like, I don't think he was listening to a word. I think he was... Anyway, I'm hanging on, Fred's hanging on, he's to the left of me, and then he decided to go behind me and climb up on the prop of the boat. And so he was up there, I wasn't staring up at him or anything, I'm just hanging on. And then he got down, came back behind me, and I thought he took it for granted he was just going to be on the same side again. He said, you can climb up there if you want. Those were his last words. And I tried to get my footing. I had gumboots on when I kicked them off, but I thought, what's the point? And I guess I was too anxious. Anyway, why bother even trying to what good is that going to do, getting up on the prop? And in time, and I back and holding on to the boat, but then Fred's not there, and I don't see him anywhere on this side in the boat. So on my belly, I got up onto the center part of the boat and looked over, and there he was over to the right, out a little bit, his head up. It was as if he was treading water. I thought, oh my God, like, what's going on with that? I knew that wasn't normal. So I yelled, and I think he heard me, but he moved a touch. But that was it. And then his face stayed the same fixed expression. His expression didn't change. And I'm yelling and yelling at him, and then I'm realizing something's really, really gone wrong here, like wrong. And I'm yelling at him, please, don't leave me, don't leave me. But I think when I was doing the yelling, I think Fred was in the process of dying. And the water seemed to, and there weren't big waves or anything, but he seemed to go back over that way, out that way, and a small wave washed over his face, and his head dropped. And I went over and I grabbed his shoulder, and I tried to get his head out of the water. And he was so heavy, his head was so heavy to try and get his head out of it, just to lift his head out of the water. And I could see underneath the water about 2-3 feet. His arms were out. And they were just... So I knew in my mind that Fred had died. And then I'm hanging on and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Maybe I should I thought he had hypothermia. But the way he described hypothermia to me, when he had it before, because he did have a boat that went down, and he was just by the skin of his teeth rescued, it was totally different than what happens in hypothermia. So I wasn't thinking he had hypothermia, but out there I thought, well, maybe it is a form of hypothermia, and maybe I'll get it. So if I just hang on to him, we'll both go. Because I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to make it to the beach anyways, and it was too much for me to even try and think about it that time. It spread. And then I thought, but nothing's happening with me. I'm not feeling whatever weird. So isn't said lightly. I don't know how you simply tell people that you had to let go of them.
Yeah.
That was the hard part. 10 years of my life just bobbing around dead. And I can't do anything about it. He's dead. And so I watched him. I was treading water, and I thought, I looked over and I saw a shelf that maybe I can climb up on. And I decided I had to do something at that point. I was swimming away, and I remember I turned and I saw the back of his leather jacket on, but it had air under it, so I saw the back of his jacket. That's all that I saw. I didn't see his head, because the jacket came up there. And I dodged the kelp islands, and yes, I felt like I was having snakes wrapping around my legs and that, because the kelp beds, they're pretty brutal out there, and they're long, and they have a way of wrapping around you, and oh God, I just had to keep going, and I'm dog paddling, and then I'm stroking, and then I'm trying to, and anyway, I remember when I got close to the shelf, okay, yeah, you're going to have to climb that. Well, I don't have any memory of climbing it at all. The only thing I remember is I opened my eyes, and I'm on top of the shelf, and the rock is so... Have you ever seen rock that's got how sand can go wavy?
Yep.
Well, the rock's like that. It's right in the rock. And I'm seeing little bits of water where it dips on this big finger that came out. And I'm crawling. And I'm crawling this finger, and I crawled it all the way to the beach. And then I stood up. And I saw the skiff out there. I didn't see Fred. And I went down to facing the beach would be my left-hand side down to the beach, and I found a log to sit on near the water, and I just started cursing God. I started blaming him for it all. And haven't you taken enough from me? And on and on and on I went, just livid, so angry, and suddenly an orange color caught my eye, and it wasn't orange. It was right at the shore, and then behind that orange, almost like as if served, they came in a line. There was Fred's unopened package of cigarettes that had bobbed out of his pocket when we were first surfaced. It bobbed out of his pocket, and he said, "We'll need it for later." Put it back in his pocket. Well, that was there. The thermos of tea, and a life jacket, which wouldn't have done any good for either of us anyways. I don't think I would have been able to get one on with all the stuff I had on. And Fred wouldn't have anything to do with life jackets, so he just put them on the boat because... And it wouldn't have saved his life. So, anyhow, then I suddenly realized that I'm so wrong to be cursing God, and these things, I only had to go out just below my knee in water, to get these things. They were served to me, and they came from way in the hell over there, and how they came to here, and right in front of me where I decided I was going to sit is beyond me, but there are things that happen, okay, look. And so I really instantaneously realized it wasn't God's fault, and I was jumping around apologizing to him and telling him I was very sorry. I was blamed him. And so I started then to take my things off, and I took my coat off, laid it on a big log, because it was a beautiful, exquisite, sunny day. Boy, you don't get a lot of them up there. And it was just lovely, and maybe another sweater I took off or something. Anyway, and I was looking for my lighter, because my lighter wasn't in my pocket where I put my cigarettes. Normally, it was always with my cigarettes. Well, I'm taking stuff off, and I'm pretty well given up that there's no lighter. But I put on a down vest underneath another sweater. And inside pocket of the down vest was this pink lighter, which I have, and it worked. So I had fire, and so then I proceeded to put my things together. I had already collected a few things in my walk down to find the log where I wanted to sit. I found a bit of footwear, nothing matched, of course, but when you haven't got any, you're just in your sock feet, you've got to find something to protect your feet. So yeah, I found some old pair of men's running looked like huge. But and I'm thinking, oh God, I hope there's not a foot in it, because that kind of stuff rolls up on beaches, you know. And they were finding that kind of freaked out about that. And then I found a McDonald's sandal with a Happy Meal thing advertising right there, and after about 3 days, I was ready to eat that sandal. I said, or if I could only go to McDonald's, whole life would be so good. Anyway, went on. I found an old pen, a big pen, but it didn't work. But it had a nib, and different things like that I just picked up. Got myself down to an area where I'd make myself my nest, and I picked up logs that were probably as small as that, and then some bigger and longer, so that I could stack them all up, and then you rock in with a hammer, use a rock as a hammer, and you hammer in wood on either side to hold the logs up. And I made myself a nest with a little opening, and then I was at the root of a tree, so anything that I wanted to keep dry, as dry as possible, would be kept underneath there, because the following days after that day deteriorated into Scotch mist, rain, wind. It was ugly. But anyway, found different pieces of rope. There's so much. That's why I would love to go back and do a real good cleaning there. So much pieces of rope, blue, yellow rope, whatever, green, and I picked up those pieces, and I thought they're going to be good for something. And then I found a relatively dry piece of driftwood, and so I was etching in. I started etching in each day I was there. Every morning I'd etch in with the pen with the nib of the pick, get it in there. And I had myself a fire, and I would use the stones. I had quite a time with them, but anyways, it seemed to work half decent. But put the stones and put them under the sand around the fire and let them get heated up nice, and then I'd put them under me. But sometimes I get far enough under, or else I'd touch one. I had to move them with sticks. And you get burned, you know. I'd be cursing. I made a pillow, not thinking about the life jacket would have made a much better pillow, and didn't even have that in my mind. I made a pillow out of moss, and, I thought, well, that'll should be comfy. It wasn't. My hair was all braided, and it got in the braids and all this shit, but anyway. It was the first night I had a dream, and I was just sitting at the fire, hadn't laid down or anything, and I dreamt that we had a little house, and it was a little whitewashed, shingled house, maybe built like in the 30s, with the little wood frame windows, and there's a long walkway to get to the house, and you go from the beach out over the water. It's like a little dock, but it's a walkway all the way to this little house. And Fred and I are in there, and Fred's really happy. Fred is so happy. And I'm happy too. And he's packing. And I know he's leaving. I don't know where he's leaving. We don't talk about where he's going to or anything. I just know he's leaving, but I'm so happy. We're both happy. And that's it. I wake up. The next dream I had was, next time I dreamt there, it was not very good. I'm sitting with my back to something behind me, or someone behind me, and I feel like I'm on the ground, and this person, or whatever, was, because I didn't see what it was. All I know is that it had a sledgehammer, and it was coming down on my head, and it would hit my head, but it was my skeletal frame that took the blow from it, and it wasn't smashing my head open. My brain wasn't, did 5 blows on my head until I woke up. And when I woke up, my hands were out like this, and it was almost like I was out in the water trying to get a hold of the boat, that type of thing. And I thought, oh, it was horrible, ugly, because it was very real. But I wasn't in any pain. I didn't have a thumping headache from it. So it was the dream, whatever that was meant to be. I have no idea. But it was very bizarre. I burst into tears. And I surprised myself because I didn't sound the same myself. My voice, my crying noise totally changed, and it goes into more of a wailing sound, and you're not able to cry tears. There's just no tears. Your brain goes into survival mode and doesn't produce tears. It wants to conserve the water that's in your system. So that was weird, but the noise that was coming out of me is very primal, and I was told that that's quite normal. But I didn't think it was at the time. It was pretty bizarre. Anyway, so I just tried to put the days in there. I busy myself with getting firewood, thinking, oh, I've got such a stack here, I'll never run out. Of course, by the next morning, you're totally run out. And the wood supply was getting further and further away that I could carry, And anyways, made it through day by day. There was a bird that would come around the end of the day, around 4:30. That sucker got up in the top of the tree there and would not shut up. It just, I don't know what kind of a bird it was or anything. I never really did see it. All I did was I heard it, and it pissed me off, angered me. And I'd yell at it, like, shut up, But I think that bird was meant to be there to, just
get you going.
Yeah. It did. There was a lot of different things taking place. One day I'm walking down near the water, and I got to the part where there's stones, and all of a sudden, like, I'm looking at the stones. And then I caught myself, and I thought, you shouldn't be beachcombing. You've lost Fred. And I was giving myself shit inside. I mean, this is horrible to be beachcombing, and you've lost Fred. Like, what are you doing? But I still did beachcomb. I still did pick up rocks. I did. And I hoarded them over my nest. And the day when I knew I was being rescued, I made a thing in my coat pocket so they went down. Some of them went down into the lining because I didn't think the Coast Guard would allow me to bring any of the rocks back from Taiwan. They went like a huge. They were one. I guess the biggest one is that, but still they had to come with me. They had to come with me. I made a little cross out of seaweed and tied it together. It's best to use it when it's wet so that it's pliable, because when it's dry, it just snaps. So, and I had the cigarettes, and cigarettes are wonderful. And, what I'm saying is they're wonderful when they last longer when they're a tad damp. Okay? Now, the package had traveled from way over the accident to me, and in that time, even though it was sealed in cellophane, the cigarettes did have a chance to get a tad damp, but they lasted longer. But when I finally didn't have any more left, I tried making because I was eating bits of seagrass, and then I found the part that was easier to eat, because some of it was like trying to chew like splinters. And then I thought, well, I'll take a piece of that seagrass and I'll split it, and then I'll just shove some dry moss, if I can find some dry moss, in here. So I put some near the fire and got some moss dried in little bits and put it in. I'm going to have a cigarette. Well, that was a disaster. That pissed me off. Like, there's just, forget it, Elaine. That's the best place to put a person to quit smoking, is some remote area. Well, once you know that you've tried things and it just ain't working, there's no point. Like, then somehow your brain gives in. It surrenders somehow, and it doesn't put you through the hell because it knows it's got it. Like, there ain't no cigarettes here, and there's nothing that's going to work. So that was the end of the smoking. And then I decided one day, because I felt strange and felt weak, and I thought, maybe this is what it's like, maybe when you die, like when you're dying. And so I got some charcoal from around the fire, and I had my little logs inside from my nest, and so I spelt my name, because I thought, if someone finds my body and that, they're not going to know who the heck I am, and they're not going to know what happened to Fred. They're going to maybe find the boat over in Otard Bay. They won't see the skiff. I doubt it. You know, that disappeared right into the horizon the time that I was there that afternoon. So, so I was trying to leave signs. I made the cross. I found a jar. I found some little flowers. I found some fresh water at the back. The water was that was something. And I was just trying to leave signs and show on the piece of wood. I couldn't write it all out. That was impossible. But skiff gone, Fred died, all this, whatever, just condensed as possible. And yeah, the day came, like it was 3.5 days that I worked on that orange, and then 3.5 days the tea. That's how long they lasted for me. Well, then I thought, I need water. I need some water. And I'm not a water drinker, but boy, when you don't have water, then you want it, right? Yeah. That's just typical. And I went off to the left and off to the right, and I would never go so far into the woods that I would lose sight of the beach. And damn, I couldn't find water, and yet there were deer around that were coming out and looking at me like I was some kind of a freak, because they'd never seen a human before. So I intrigued them, and and I was just happy to see company, some other life, And anyway, where the water happened to be was, if I'd just gone straight behind the tree that I'm under, right directly behind that tree was the water. It was a bit of a runoff from a little bit of a bank, and it run off there, and it was very grown, like there was a lot of science projects on top of that, But you don't care, and I got the cup for the thermos and just gently lowered it in so it wouldn't disturb any mud, but it was still, anyway, it was cold, really nice and cold, and I started filling my thermos and stuff, and so then I had water, and when I made the hole bigger after I filled the thermos, I thought, I'll just clear it out a little more so I can get more at it, and I thought by morning time it'll be settled down again, the mud. Well, it wasn't really, but I didn't care. And I just called it Nature's Essence drink. And it felt really good to be able to have that, Then I thought, well, I need to eat something. And I went and thought, this is just lovely. It's a type of seaweed plant that grows, and it's a golden color, and it's not the onion one, but it's the other little one, and when you step on them, they pop, And this old guy on a boat that Fred and I had met, that lived in Camano Sound since the 70s, he showed us, you could make chips out of them. Well, we didn't, Fred and I didn't eat them all. We weren't really crazy about them, but they were edible, so I knew that. So I went and I got some of those things, and I got a stick, and I got them on there the best I could, and I put them over the fire. And I was getting really hungry, like I was even more hungry watching these things and thinking how long it's going to take until they're properly cooked. I didn't know, because they got a slime or something inside them. So anyway, they cooked, as far as I figured. and let them cool off a little bit, and I downed them, and within about half an hour, the whole lower part of my stomach was in an uproar, like just active, crazy. And I thought, oh no, like this is not good. I had had my underwear and then plus 2 pairs of pants on. Couldn't make it to get anywhere to go to the bathroom. Everything, came out. And so I'm down at the water. I'm just as mad as a hornet. Like, I'll bet you think this is a funny one, eh, Fred? It's just beside myself. But so thankful no one was around, to peel this stuff off me. Well, it turned out I just used my underwear. Well, then it was deemed as a washcloth from then on, but not for the face. You know what I mean? I'm really weird about stuff like that. If a face cloth has been down there, it ain't going up here. Because Fred used to wash it. He's a typical fisherman, and he went all over his body. It's so gross. I can't. But I'm laying in bed across from the sink, and I'm watching this, But fishermen do a lot of different things when they're out there. I mean, they have their own habits, which I don't think they do at home around their wives. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, so I got all washed up. I had to make a tripod thing for my pants to dry and everything. Thank God, the first pair underneath were nylon, so they dried fairly quickly. So there I got them on, and then after a few hours, I got the other ones on. So I sort of put back together again, and I continued to eat on. I'd eat some of the seagrass. That was about the only thing that you could get at least a lot of moisture out of it too, and drank sips of water. So, and it rained. I'm trying to, the first day was beautiful, but after that it rained and rained and rained, and I thought, oh, if I could just get out of this rain. Everything that you touched was damp or wet. And so I went back into the woods, making sure I'd still be able to see the beach, and got myself underneath a cedar, an old cedar. Had been there for years and half rotted out, but it was leaning against the base, and I thought, if I can get under there. So I'm pulling the rotten cedar away and thinking I can fit under there, and then maybe there's some dry stuff under there and I can start a little fire. Oh, well. That idea, it was a good idea while it lasted, but once I got myself lodged under there, I couldn't get the fire to start. And I thought, oh no, now I'm going to be wasting the fuel and the lighter. And I don't know for sure how much, fuel is left in there. So I came back out of there, and as I'm coming to the beach, there's 2 very narrow trees standing not so far apart. And I don't know what came over me, but that's a door frame, and I went to open the door knob, and I was going to be stepping into a really warm room. But then I caught myself, and I realized, no, these are 2 trees, and there's no warm room in there. But for those seconds in my mind, I really thought that this was for real. And come back out onto the beach and back into my nest and figure, well, I might as well stay here in the first place from what good it did. So then I was there. Nighttime comes, and I've got I wouldn't leave my nest. The water was intimidating. You could hear the water and the boulders in the water hitting against each other. That water was very strong. And the noise was eerie, and I didn't know how close it could come up to my nest. I know the water's been up there before, but I didn't know if it would come up while I'm there, that close. I found an old 2x4, and I put that down below my SOS to see, to sort of gauge if the 2x4 got taken away or anything. So, anyhow, I'm sitting there, it's another night, and something told me I need to go out on the beach. And I never left that nest at nighttime, but it's like I was lifted. It's like someone just took me under my arms and said, go out on the beach. And it's very bizarre. It's weird. So I wandered out, and I'm bumbling over logs, and I'm down a little ways, and then I happened to look on the water, and the water's got I thought it was a big star reflecting, because the stars will reflect, but the water has to be more calm. But I wasn't thinking, I just saw this light on the water. And I thought, no, that's not a star, that's a light from a boat, that is. So I'm bumbling back to my nest, grabbed the flare gun from under the roots, and got myself back out there, and fired off a flare, and it lit up the sky. And then I had one more left, because I'd been firing them at WestJet in the day, thinking that someone would, I'm sure it was WestJet. So they seem to have the same pattern, their way. Anyway, the second one went off, and it lit up, and then a light, which was brighter than the one that I'd first seen, was flashing off and on. And so I knew I had been spotted. Then I went and got my stick that I used for the fire, got it on fire on the end, went back down there, and I'm making sure that I'm waving the stick. So they knew, and they stayed there anchored until morning break. I think they'd spotted me around after 3 in the morning. And then one of the guys was yelling over, and I could understand that he was saying something to do with the boat and 3 o'clock or something. Boat was on the way, 3 o'clock. Anyway, around 3:30 in the afternoon, I would say, or 4, the Coast Guard boat came. And they came, and I walked out that shelf that I had crawled in on, and met them, because I didn't want them to hassle coming all the way to my nest. But anyway, I met them out there. I must have scared them, must have looked at a sight, but anyway, they looked pretty weird in their orange garb, and yet I was so happy to see them. And they got me into the Zodiac, and we went to the main boat, which is, I must say, those boats are very well built. They're very tough boats, and boy, you feel safe when you get on that. And we went over to Otard Bay, and they pulled right up next to Ocean Gem, and I went on Ocean Gem to get the cats and some of my things. And well, the cats weren't anywhere to be seen. I thought I was going to lose it. I couldn't find them. I went downstairs, no, couldn't find them around behind the bunks anywhere in their little hidey-hole spots they had, no. Anyway, Blair, this wonderful man, he said, I'm going to go down the engine room. He went down in the engine room, and he brought up 2 cats covered in oil. They had been crouched down behind the engine. I think the motor from the Coast Guard boat being right up next to freaked them right out. So, and I have one cat that's, I think has post-traumatic stress and is freaked out, so he's hyperventilating, and Ozzy's so laid back, but he's just going, meow, because it's like, what the hell is going on here? They had been left for the whole inside of the cabin. I'd never seen anything like it. From the floor, the bunk, up on the dash, everything was covered in catnip. I don't know where that catnip came to. I don't know how the Coast Guard opened the door. They said there's been a hell of a party in here. But where it came from, we wouldn't buy in that quantity either. I just, how do you get answers for this? There's things you just can't get answers for. Yeah. Anyway, and the window was left open all the time, so they were able to get in and out, and thank heavens it had rained enough, so they had drinking water. But they were both not in the best shape. Ozzy was in better shape than Ziggy, but they both, then we went to a sports camp. We traveled to a sports camp. And I see the sports camp, and I think, oh, shower. Oh, and some food. Like, I'm going to have a nice shower. Like, as far as I was going, right there. This is where someone else will pick me up from here, you know. No, that wasn't going to happen. It wasn't in the stars. Anyway, I never even saw the inside of the sports camp. I was on the wharf, and a helicopter eventually came. And I had to go, and the cats were loaded onto the helicopter, and I'm on the helicopter, and away we went to Queen Charlotte City. And I was put in the hospital there, and there was a veterinarian there who was very kind, and he took the cats, and they cleaned the cats up and kept them while I was in hospital. And the doctors, everyone, what a wonderful little hospital it was, Queen Charlotte City Hospital. I mean, it was built, I think, in the 30s, and it had home-cooked meals. I mean, it was just wonderful. And the staff there, the doctors. One doctor lived on a little island opposite. You could see the ocean, you know, from the hospital, a little island across. And he'd row his boat over every day to come to work. You know, like really cool people. His wife came to see me with their kids. And really down-to-earth, wonderful people. So I was there for a while. Supervisor asked me if I'd like to have breakfast with him, and I went down and I had breakfast with him, and he asked me if I'd like to move there, that there was BC housing, and it was right near the water. But at this particular time, I wasn't crazy about the ocean, and you know,
How many days did you spend on that beach?
5.
Wow.
And yeah, I can tell you that in my own experiences in life, different things that I've been through, the ones that have been human caused were far more traumatic than the accident that was nature caused. And I was in nature. It wasn't caused by human.
Yeah.
It was a rogue wave, I believe, that had to topple that boat like that. I don't think it was any big whale that came along. It had to be, because I didn't see a swirl, but it was so quick that I can't say in detail exactly what that was, but I'm pretty sure it was green water. And, you know, it can take you so quickly. I mean, I remember when we used to beachcomb, and I'd go out on a point, and it was all, you know, on either side you're looking to see what shells might have got washed up. And one day I'm out on one, friend says, I'd be really careful if I were you, because if there's ever a rogue wave change you can get washed right out to sea, you know. Well, that really, thanks a lot. Just ruined that. But yeah, you do have to be careful. You know, look, there's some people washed away not too long ago with that king tide, I think. Just a few days ago.
Yeah, down in Oregon.
Yeah, like it happens, and you know, you're gone. It just whoops, comes in and just sweeps you right away. So, yeah, you have to have a lot of respect for the ocean. But sometimes I wish I had taken that supervisor up on his offer and moved up to Queen Charlotte City, because there's a lot of Native people up there, and I really like the Native people. And it is a small community where everybody seems to know everybody else, so it's like a family type. And the being down on the beach, you know, in one of these, apparently there's hardly any of them rented out up there. That I could have easily had one, but it was too much for me to think of moving away from there or here and going up there. And my hope on the beach was that I'd be able to, you know, I'd be able to be in more contact with Sean. Sean would be more, things would work out better. Family was really important and more important on that beach, I'm telling you. It's where I learned a lot of different things, how we take things for granted, how we take everything that we live around for granted because we're born into it. We're used to having, you know. Yeah, and so, yeah, it was a real learning thing. It was a real spiritual experience. And I know describing some of these things to people, they told me that those are divine miracles because they can't be explained. We can't explain why the ocean would, from where the accident happened, how, and you went way down here, how can all those things just come in mind to you like that? Especially a package of cigarettes, which, like, she'll die without them. But anyway, I've probably missed out on a lot of different things, but,
Did they ever find Fred?
no. The RCMP came, the dive team came, and I think they were there 5 days. They couldn't. But when they told me that the dive team would be going, I thought, oh, the way that skiff moved out that day.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but to me, how could his body still be around that area when I saw that skiff get? I'd be sitting and I'd look over to where it was. I couldn't just stare at the site, but I'd look over from time to time and see how far it had moved, been taken out. And the last time I saw it, it was like at the edge of the world, as far as the eye could see, and then it was just like a flick of light, and then gone.
Wow.
So it may have got sunk, eventually, because it was upside down. It could have crashed into rocks, God knows. I mean, who knows? Or maybe if someone found it and is using it, you don't know when things get lost out at sea like that. But anyhow, I haven't been able to have any. I don't think I'll ever be able to see a picture of my nest, anything to do with the accident, because I think because Fred's body has not been found, those things need to be kept in file and locked up or whatever they do for, I think it's 90 some odd years, something silly, which I think is, gee, can you copy me a picture just so I can see a picture of where it was?
Yeah.
But they won't do that. But I never wanted to be around the ocean. Like, I was okay there because I had no other choice, right? I'm there. But when I got to the hospital, I didn't want to be. I looked at the ocean and I thought, I don't want to. I hate you. You took Fred. But that's soon changed, and I'd love nothing more than to be able to go back to Tyan Beach and have someone just drop me off there. Along with someone else would be really nice, or someone who can do some video and be there for maybe a week, because you think a week, a week goes by, I think, fairly quickly, and when you're in a new place like that, there's so many things to look at. Every day is a new day out there. It really is. You never know what's going to wash up on the beach. You never know what you're going to uncover. You never know. There's so much to look at. So, yeah, and to film would be beautiful. And I have a cross that I've kept, and I wanted to erect that up on this little bluff so it won't get taken by the water. And that was it's a dream. Most of our dreams don't really come true, but that's a dream to go to Tyan. And anyone that knows the actual area that I'm speaking about would know that you can't just drop a person off and say, I'll be back at 4 o'clock next week on a Wednesday or whatever, because it's subject to change there.
Yeah.
So somehow we'd have to get there with the understanding that, well, at least to have more supplies than what we actually may need.
Yeah.
And, there's lots you can... And, of course, if I'd thought about different things, like when you take a piece of nylon rope, if you take strands away, you have to have the patience to do it. But if you can work at it and get a strand away, somehow you can make yourself a little kind of a hook or something out of something. I haven't gone so far as to think what I could have made a hook out of, but I think if I'd have used my head, I could have possibly made a hook or some kind of a lure or a net or something, so that I could have maybe caught a few little fish, because the shelf runs out and then there's other rock that runs out. There's a blowhole that freaked me out. The water comes underneath that and then comes up through and shoots up. But out there must have been, because there's no shell life on the beach, but out there, I'm sure there must have been some fish over the side of those. You know?
Yeah.
And as far as hunting goes, the deer, I mean, I don't think I'd have the heart to, I don't know. They came to look at me, and I'm happy to see them. And so, and I tested some leaves and different things to try and see if I could digest them, and they didn't taste any good, and and there's no berries, just the wrong time of the year for them.
It's an amazing story. It's an amazing story of survival. Like I said earlier, they probably wouldn't pull me out in a bag. I don't think I would have the wherewithal to even think of what to do. I would just panic and lose my shit.
You think you would, but I think a lot of people could have made it. I think a lot of people could make it. You can't panic. You can't. There's no point.
Yeah.
Who's going to hear you? Oh no, you're going to make an idiot out of yourself, screaming. I did that out in the Sioux Mountains. So that's why I would never lose sight of the beach when I was up in Cayenne. I wasn't going to go through that again, but someone said to me, and this is years after, about 5 or 6 years after the accident, that, so you're doing all this survival on the beach and finding water and eating that horrible stuff that went right through you. And wouldn't it have been funny if you'd just gone over that hump up in the forest? On the other side was a resort.
That'd be something like out of a movie. You think you're all alone and you cross the hill and there's a big resort hotel there with a nice big pool.
You've been right.
Well, I want to thank you.
Well, I hope that some of it is recordable, like for listeners.
Well, that is one of the few times that Elaine has spoken publicly about what happened to her back in 2011. I'm going to continue to talk to Elaine. She's got the story to tell about her son Sean, and biggest battle yet, which is coming up with cancer. As an aside to this, as I was about to leave, Elaine said that she had something for me, something that she felt she had to give me. So I waited around as she dug through her drawers and pulled out old photos and frames and photo albums and, knickknacks, things that you keep in a drawer. And at the bottom of this drawer was a part of a newspaper from the Times-Colonist from December 9th, 1980. And it's page 9, and it's actually the story where John Lennon was shot in New York City. A lot of people that know me know that John Lennon is one of my heroes.
You've been listening to The Doghouse with Andrew Davis.